Alrighty, so first of all, apologies that I wasn't able to do the review after this game was over because last night I was relatively busy. But yeah, all the matchup from the first round of game one of the season's playoffs is in the books, and this was the final matchup from game one of this season's playoffs. And it was supposed to be billed as a highly entertaining game, and yeah, it definitely did not live up to its billing. And I think a lot of that has to do with, Columbus. I didn't think they played really at their best in this game too. Well, they didn't need to because this was a game where they pretty much dominate the whole game, and they really just had to put into third gear in terms of the attack against an Atlanta team that pretty much did nothing in this game. And it is pretty clear that after this game, Atlanta desperately need Thiago Almada back in game two, and the good news is they are going to get him back in game two of this free game series. But in the first half, Amundsen would miss one from close range. Columbus, they had most of the possession early, but not much really happened in the first 15 minutes. There was only one shot through the first 15 minutes. That Amundsen shot was the only shot for the first 15 minutes. Nagby would then hit one right to Guzan before Cucho decided to go on his bike, trying to score a spectacular goal. Why not? I mean, he's been red hot coming into the playoffs, but he missed wide there. Cucho then curls it wide from close range as I thought Columbus started to ramp up the pressure and pressing for the opener. Amundsen would then head it high from close range. The shots were 6-0 for Columbus now. I mean, this looks like a very Columbus Crew kind of home game where they're just dominating the shots and dominating the possession, 262 to 38 for Columbus. Nagby then blast one into the supporter section in the 38th minute, and then we had a bit of a controversy in this game because, my God, so far in this playoffs, I will say that the refereeing has been pretty good, but this is where I think the referee got wrong in this sequence because the crew player, they feel like Muyumba challenge on Matan is worthy of a second yellow card. So before this challenge, Muyumba already had a yellow card. And I feel like this should have been a second yellow because when you look back at this challenge on Matan, it was pretty clear that his leg was very high in terms of making that challenge. When you do that, that is a reckless kind of play and definitely a case of endangers an opponent. And knowing the fact that Muyumba is already on a yellow card, that should have been a second yellow card. And that, yeah, the group players, they were very unhappy that this wasn't a second yellow, and I don't blame them. It should have been the second yellow card in this one. In fact, little do we know, that wouldn't be the only time that Munyumba kind of cheat death in terms of in this game, or actually I wouldn't say cheat death, but more like cheated himself of potentially not getting ejected in this game. I think it's a little extreme to say that he kind of cheated death in this one, but still, that being said, in the first minute stoppage time, Columbus does get one back because the Saga gods they eventually will make it up for Columbus. As Tucho, who else scored here from Rossi to make it 1-0 in favor of Columbus Crew. It came off of a lightning counterattack, which Atlanta was not prepared to defend. And then we had another incident where Muyumba commits a foul on Morris, and he didn't get a yellow card or a second yellow for that. And it's not just the crew players that are kind of restless. But this was restless too, and this is the first time I actually have heard the crowd chant this, and the crew fans they were chanting send him off because of the fact that yeah that should have been the second yellow card on Yumba too, and I'm pretty sure the crowd realized that he was already on a yellow card. And again, with that challenge, although it wasn't as extreme as the one that he committed against Matan, I mean, when you already been told off by the referee that this is literally your last challenge, and then literally 2 minutes later you commit another foul. I mean, yeah. Again, so far in terms of refereeing, this playoffs has been pretty good, but yeah, this is one that's gonna be a little iffy. And that again, Muyumba he should have been sent off in this game. So we head to halftime with Columbus leading 1-0, and in the second half, Pineda did eventually subbed off Muyumba, and I think that's the right choice because it is pretty clear that Muyumba, if he commits one more challenge, oh yeah, you better believe that that yellow card couldn't come out quicker from the referee. But nevertheless, in the 49th minute, penalty was given to Columbus as Hernandez brought down Mitan in the box, which allowed Cucho to slot uh, in a penalty to make it 2-0, and he does. So yeah, that made it 2-0 in favor of Columbus. And then 1 minute later, it was almost 3-0 if Guzan didn't have to clear the ball away after just a bad back pass from Abram. Again, I just don't understand why players tends to like to do a back pass, especially from the head. Or actually, I don't know if that was a head or back pass. Oh, I might have got it wrong there. But nevertheless, when you decide to back pass in your own half to the keeper, you got to make sure you get it right because if you don't get it right, that could potentially actually happen. And that, yeah, Guzan very fortunate that he was able to clear that away. But I mean, bro, it looked like it's unraveling for Atlanta because Columbus, it looked like they are well in control in this one, and that they almost find themselves 3-0 down. Because of that sequence. Though in the 64th minute, Fortune would miss wide as that was Atlanta's first shot of the game. Little do we know that that would be the only shot of the game for Atlanta United. But I thought Atlanta started to finally look a little threatening. Final third was still a problem. The final third was a problem where they just couldn't penetrate that Columbus back line, missing those final third passes. And also, not to mention, I feel like the reason why Atlanta actually ended up only with one shot in this game, too many players being too unselfish. Too many players were afraid to pull the trigger and shoot. And I know you also don't want to like shoot from everywhere that as I said before, just because you shoot from everywhere and help the stat line, it doesn't really mean much. But then there's also a time where you also don't want to not shoot from a range. Like you don't want to just kind of hesitate and allow defenders to have a chance to tackle the ball away, and I thought that was kind of the case for Atlanta in this game. There was just way too much dribbling in their own half, just kind of overplaying it too many times. It almost looked like they were looking for the perfect attack and the perfect pass to set up the perfect chances, put the ball into the back of net. But in the 73rd minute, Cucho would then look for his hat trick, but he hits it right to Guzan before Guzan would deny Yoboa from close range. And yeah, that was pretty much it because really for the last 12 minutes, Atlanta didn't really offer too much resistance. Columbus basically just cruised their way to an easy 2-0 win against Atlanta United as they take game one. And the shots basically tells the story. 14 shots compared to just one that Atlanta has. Yeah. It's pretty clear that that attack was a no-show in this game against Columbus. 8 shots on goal compared to none that Atlanta has. 1 shot off target compared to 6 that Columbus had. Both team didn't add a shot that was blocked. So this is one of the rare time where both teams didn't have any shots that was blocked. You don't usually see that happen often. And possession wise, it did even out eventually because Atlanta did start to get more possession in the second half. But still, Columbus does have the advantage in terms of possession, 51% possession compared to 49% possession that Atlanta has. So yeah, Columbus they have the advantage. And now looking back at game one of all these playoff matchup, home team have gone 7-1 in terms of these game one in playoffs. Now it's going to be interesting to see how game two is going to look like because now this is where you pretty much have all of these home team except for St. Louis City that has the upper edge, and all these road team that play in game one they have their backs against the wall. So we'll see whether if things are going to be reversed where maybe in game two, if we're going to have the same result, there's going to be plenty of game three that we're going to talk about in terms of the first round of the playoffs. And I'm pretty sure Apple TV is going to be very happy about that because the whole point of the best of three series in the first round is to make more money. And they don't really care what people will say about how this format is absolutely garbage. It's the dollar sign that they're going to look after. And they're hoping that, as much as, it's great to see all these home team getting wins in game one, they're hoping it's the same thing in game two. So we're gonna have plenty of game three. And that speaking of game two in the home game, for Atlanta, the only good news coming out of this one is that they're gonna get Thiago Almada back. And they desperately needed him because again, that attack was very stale. This was one of the worst performances that Atlanta has played this season. And again, I think the other good news in terms of these best of three series for these road team is that at least if you play one of your worst game or your worst game of the season and you play it at game one, it doesn't harm you as we've seen in previous season. I mean, in previous season, Atlanta would have been eliminated now, but now you get a second chance, and let's see whether or not if they can take advantage, especially when they have Amada back in the team. And also not to mention, Columbus this season they've been very good at home, but the question is going to be on the a row. And while they have definitely played much better on the road this season, they haven't really replicated that. The way that they play on the road is it's kind of weird to see how they play so good at home under Wilfried Nancy, but then on the road they at times they kind of look a little bit lackluster. So we'll see whether or not if Atlanta can take advantage of it. Either way, I think this game could definitely go into 3 games. I mean, as much as one-sided as this game is, I think it could be different as we head into game two. But still, Atlanta shouldn't just take that as a thing that is going to happen. They still need to show up in game two. And again, the good news for them, once Thiago Almada is back after starting his suspension, and I think this game just kind of shows you how much it stings for them after he got a red card on decision day. I think this should be a much more closely and much more entertaining game as what we saw here, which was relatively a one-sided affair. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of this video. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of this game. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. And yeah, I, of course, will see you guys next time.